thank you for the opportunity. I'll be brief. I'll be talking about AI applications in both real estate as well as property development. So I've got actually added some slides as well that we can also make available to the participants as well. So I'm quite excited. My massive transformative purpose is really around how can we use AI or smart technology for good? So how can we shape a better future in the smart technology era? And this is also relevant for, if you think about real estate, which is in housing and those kind of things, that's so important for us as humans to have sorted out. And what we will see is in the smart technology era, AI and other smart technology, blockchain, IoT, will have a huge impact. And if we are smart and wise, we can navigate things in the right direction so that we can benefit, get the benefits to everyone. I also talk a little bit about this in my book, Democratizing AI to Benefit Everyone, Shaping a Better Future in the Smart Technology Era, and you can get a little bit more information there. So on the smart tech era, I think we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, or it's like a second part of the information revolution. But what we see here is the fusion of new technologies, of which AI is one. That's kind of blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological worlds. Now, if you think about real estate and property development, obviously physical, we know it's physical, but what we will see then the digital coming into play heavily, especially around, think about even virtual reality and those kind of things also, apart from just the smart tech technologies. So basically impacting all disciplines, economies and industries. And I think what does it mean for us as individuals is in fact that it will change almost like everything that we do. And so it will have an impact on the jobs. So we need to work with the technology. And they always say AI with humans is better than just AI or just humans without it. So I think one needs to be very smart in using smart technology. So I think that's going to be super important. And my last slide, just in terms of contextualizing this era, this is just another way of looking at it. If you think about over time, and you think about business value unlocking, it started with agriculture, fishery, metals, and then you've got the industrial revolutions and financials. And then on top of that, from say 1998, the internet, and now with all the data being generated, and we are actually doing more of that right now because we're instrumenting people with IoT. We're creating this hyper-connected world with lots of data being generated. And it's also relevant, again, to real estate and property development. And now we're into this smart technology era where we can utilize the data that's available as well. So, and then there's a fusion of these technologies, and we're sitting on kind of exponential curves around these kind of things as well. So they actually reinforce one another. So let's get into real estate quickly. So on the left-hand side, I mentioned there some of the key benefits that we can expect if we just think about real estate, AI-driven real estate. And this is also relevant for a lot of other industries as well. So one of the first things is productivity or process improvements. Then the other one is around, if you've got products and services. Now, obviously in real estate, there's many types of products and services. Now you can fine tune those ones as well to be more suited, potentially more personalized as well. And it also for real estate tech or companies or businesses there, with this tech, you can actually gain competitive advantage. So it is immense in that space. Now, clearly, a lot is being sold. If you think about real estate, it's being displayed online. So the online real estate market is massive. We know that last 20 odd years in terms of the internet. But as we infuse intelligence into the internet, into our real estate, into the way we communicate with individuals, you'll see a huge impact. So this is just highlighting some of the very specific things. Now, you can have more kind of manual online home search experiences, but you can now with AI improve it. Because similar to how Netflix and Amazon is doing recommendations based on your past experiences, what they know about you, your profile, and what is people with these kind of interests what are the things they're interested in? So you can do those kind of things as well. So you can match people to the right, say, properties, for instance, and then you can create those personalized experiences based on what you've searched as well. So all of those kind of things are possible. Then there's also the generative AI. There's incredible opportunities to also glean more information from images as well. There might be characteristics in properties that's of interest, and all of those kind of things. You can even generate metadata descriptions based on just images as well. Another one that's quite interesting, that's a little bit untapped, is a dynamic property valuation. So we know that properties can differ the valuations over time, but to make it really automated, like AI driven, you can also make sure that it's more fair, fast and accurate, and you can remove some of the human bias as well. It will typically, if you look at algorithms, it's based on public records, crime statistics, school district ratings, those kind of things. But you can bring in more of those kind of things as well and automate things around this, make it more data driven. And then clearly with lead generation, I think there's ample opportunities as well. So if you just look at a visual, what are the 5 ways being used in real estate? This is now emphasizing some of the things that I've mentioned already, but it can help agents with lead generation. We see this in other industries as well in terms of lead generation. So the same applies to real estate. Avoid budget overrun issues. It's changing the way we approach lending. We know that's changing also here in Africa. Microfinancing and all sorts of platforms. It's making property valuation easier. It's also transforming the home search process. So those are things that I've mentioned. So here is just a little bit more in depth, just show more specifics. I already mentioned lead generation. I think the one that I also want to highlight here is around AI-powered chatbots. We talked about the personalization, but now you can have really interesting content marketing. And there's plenty of, you will see even the CRM, customer relationship management systems, now powered with AI. So to help facilitate that whole process, interacting with potential buyers as well. And then property analysis, future evaluations, I did mention that already. House search and recommendations, we will see more and more of this. And then I think, if you think about smart tech, and you think about augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, we can see kind of virtual tours that could be more impressive even, maybe more immersed, and so forth as well. So, and even if you think about selling, if you think about, I'll mention this briefly at the end as well, when you do tokenization, or you do things via the blockchain as well, there's abilities to fast track and streamline the way you do the whole process, because there's a lot of things that's holding things up sometimes, and you can remove a lot of the friction around that. So that's what smart contracts can also do. And then I just want to see if I've got some more things here. The only other things that I want to re-emphasize here is managing space efficiently. Now, if you think about IoT being implemented, there's sensor data being generated, and utilizing that, you can pinpoint inefficient usage of office space. Where are people spending their time? They're not really using this corner or this room or that. So you can actually become much more data-driven in terms of how you think about those kind of things. And then things like, we know that in recruitment, this is again general, not only real estate, but obviously in real estate, hiring better real estate agents, you can use AI for that as well. And then also helping to make better investments. I mentioned the lending process, improving the lending process. And then there's a bunch of tools around buying and selling the process itself. If you just think about a lot of the manual steps, editing forms, signing forms electronically, all of those kind of things, compliance management, and you can have AI-driven tools, and even like robotic process automation, RPA, to help automate a bunch of those kind of things. Then I've added just quickly on the property development side. This is where it gets very, very interesting as well, because it's not just the real estate. We know those clear benefits there. But if you think about property development, you think about site selection or feasibilities, and you can have some predictive analytics that's actually running to actually looking at location, local demographics, existing amenities, all sorts of different things to be more data-driven around these kind of things. And you can look at what successful sites look like and so forth and utilize that data as well. You can also predict land value. But then obviously you need enough data around those kind of things, but you can create these kind of machine learning models that look at that based on market conditions and trends and so forth. And then with design and planning, I mentioned generative AI. I think we already see this in other industries in terms of design and generative design, where you can actually empower architects and designers to come up with very creative and potentially better designs in a quicker way as well. So generative design is clearly one. And one that's also interesting when you're looking at energy consumption as well. So again, now you need to instrument, say, the buildings, and you're looking at design and all of those kind of things, and you want to actually ensure that your consumption is optimal as well. And you want to obviously increase energy efficiency. And then around construction, clearly there's a few things as well, because you can think about scheduling and optimization. You can think about safety monitoring, equipment monitoring, quality control. All of these kind of things are also very relevant and being applied in the industrial space anyway. Safety monitoring, equipment monitoring, predictive maintenance, those kind of things. But again, all of this is very relevant to property development. Then sales and marketing, those are things that I've mentioned before, like virtual tours and chatbots. You can also look at price optimization. I remember one of the key big customers from a Cortex side was for a bank specifically, we actually had dynamic price optimization, or like interest rate for home loans, for instance. And you can have machine learning doing those kind of things as well. So, and then facility and property management, again, the predictive maintenance that I've talked about, energy management, obviously you need to instrument it extremely well. Security with video and all sorts of things where you can pick up anomalies, tenant experience and property services, smart building features, recommendation engines, all sorts of things that you can deploy, market analysis investment, again, risk assessment, trend forecasting, and then I've mentioned regulatory and compliance monitoring before. So those are some of the key things, and I want to end with just when we think about property development and real estate, we have to think about smart cities as well. So, and I just want to quickly mention, if you think about South Africa, this is something that I'm also involved in, the Future Cities Smart City offering. We're looking at housing development, and there's obviously the 5 categories, some of them discussed today as well, breaking new ground, social housing, where obviously the Social Housing Regulatory Authority is very much involved, FLISP, finance-linked individual subsidiary programs, rental, bonded housing. So there's around this housing development, you can also implement smart city infrastructure, and you can have AI-driven applications like smart city application and vetting software to make sure that people that's qualified to actually for these different categories can actually go in there. I know there is quite a bit of potential issues and problems with around these kind of things, because this is also dynamic. If you're outside a certain income bracket, you might qualify, say, the previous year, but this year it's different. And maybe you've got a partner and now you pass the income bracket, you don't qualify to be in one of these categories. So you want to do those kind of things properly. And I know there's a lot of fraud and things happening there. So again, that's a big area for AI. And then you can obviously, if you've got residents that's sitting in these kind of areas, there could be a lot of services that you can provide to these individuals around their needs, security needs, internet needs, payments, all sorts of different things. And then the last thing is here in terms of social housing auditing software, there's opportunities there. Yeah, the rest of the stuff here is just talking a little bit about smart city characteristics. And a lot of the stuff here you will see is AI-driven, smart tech-driven, and very relevant for how one should think about next generation housing. And places where we live. How do we make cities safer or towns safer or healthier? Educated cities. How do we facilitate that better? Sustainable cities like urban mobility, buildings, infrastructure planning, energy, water, and then digital cities. Just think about services to citizens, the government admin, government finance, tourism, recreation. So all of this is being influenced by smart tech, AI-driven things. And it's really around the building blocks of connectivity, convenience, and commute. So those are the opportunities as well. So I'll skip, and my last slides is just quickly, I mentioned tokenization, and I wanted to just end with this as well because it's becoming very exciting, especially also in terms of real estate ownership. Normally it's not that easy. Normally it's kind of illiquid. You can make it with tokenization much more liquid, real estate ownership. And what do we mean by that as well? It just means that you fractionalize. It's almost like shares. In a company, you can actually have shares in a residential real estate or commercial real estate, or you can have trophy real estate tokenization. So there's many different types of tokenizations that's possible. And then obviously some of the use cases is in terms of raising capital for real estate projects, especially if you tokenize it. You can buy distressed real estate and you can buy tokenization as well. You can sell existing properties with tokenization and create real estate marketplaces. We see that as well. And here is some of the things, the benefits. So I mentioned the fractional ownership, but the high volume liquidity, suddenly you can actually get some liquidity. There's also the globalization thing because it removes geographical barriers. There's no intermediaries. Blockchain immutability is great. And then instant efficient transactions. So clearly technology can help facilitate and solve some of the frictional problems that we currently have in real estate. And this is just emphasizing some of the same things that I already mentioned. Okay, so that's it. So over to Q&A.